I know you are ready for the upcoming season, though. What has it been to be around these guys as your hours expand? It's a long off season, but as you can get a real feel for the sense that the first game's upon us in 2 weeks.
It is. You look, it's like, wow, 13 days. You feel like there's a lot you've done, but then there's so much left, too. But I like our guys. I like what we've done. I like the feel every day in practice. I love how we work. And I'm excited. I'm excited. It's good to be here. It's good to be in the BJC, but I can't wait until this place is full once we start playing.
Some of the people have changed, but as you go into year number 2 as head coach, to know the players, the program, the institutional knowledge, how would you compare where you're at this time this year compared to this time last year?
We feel much better. We're an older group with a bunch of young guys, tagging along with us. And just the amount of basketball games, the amount of basketball knowledge, having staff continuity, which I talked about in the press conference, you feel better from year 1 to year 2. Like who we want to be, how we want to play has all been established. Now we need to build off of that and take what we did, take the good things of what we did, reshape the things we didn't do well, and now go in, at a much higher level.
You have an identity, you have a personality that you want to play with, but all great coaches also adjust to the personnel and the roster that they have. What does this year's roster, without giving any X's and O's away, allow you to do as a head coach?
I think we have a little more firepower offensively. Right? I think, there's no secret that we struggled at times to score the basketball last year. So having more guys that, are built-in scores, Jalen Pickett, who's scored, over 1,500 points in his career, adding a Cam Winter, who's scored 1,600, Andrew Funk at 1,200, Seth Lundy, who's going to join these guys in the 1,000-point club at some point in this season, Miles Dredd close to it. You got 5 or 6 guys that are proven scores at this level, are proven scores of the basketball in college, and now, there's not one guy that you can really focus on. Now there's 3 or 4 guys that can beat you at any point in time.
Because of their skill set, their talent, but also their experience, how do those guys, and they're all backcourt guys that you're mentioning there for the most part, how do they drive what you do on the court, but also with their leadership, the culture, with so many new faces coming in too?
I think the leadership has been the biggest part, especially with the new guys. The new guys that fit in seamlessly. They go right along with Jalen, Miles, Seth, those guys that have been here. Andrew, Cam, Mikey, it's like they've been here their entire careers as well. Just because they've been a part of the teams. They want to do something special. They want to take advantage of their last year. Like, what can they do here to help us be good? And I think they've all blended. This whole group has blended really well together.
I think that leads me right into my next question. Where do you turn? Look, John played a valuable role on the floor, but also those intangibles. Are those the guys who have stepped up to replace some of the intangibles that John laid the foundation for last year?
I think so. You talk about the guys that were here in Miles and Seth and Jalen. Then you add in Dalian Johnson. You add in Caleb Dorsey. A group of guys that were around John, right? They had a chance to be with him for a couple of years, especially the 2 younger guys, Dalian and Caleb, but they've kind of taken on his persona. Like, what did he do to be successful? How did he help everybody else become successful? And now those guys are taking it, kind of running with it. So you see him grabbing other guys. You see him grabbing the freshmen. You see him grabbing the new guys. And they're the ones that are talking about who we want to be, right? Cultures, it's comes from the player, right? Or it comes from the coach. But, the players do it. It's theirs. It's their culture in terms of how they get it instilled throughout a program, and they're doing that. You're seeing that, and when things aren't at their best, right? It's a long preseason. Every day in practice hasn't been great, but when they see those moments, they're the ones that step up and say something about it.
Because the way college sports have changed the last 5-10 years, transfers aren't a new thing. But when you have Andrew, Cam, and Mikey coming in, you have an idea because of what you see on film, what they can do. But when you get to see them on the court in the actual practice gym for your team, how do they fit with what you want to do on the floor?
It's been, like I said, it's been seamless in terms of how they've kind of mixed in with our guys. We knew, through film, what they were going to bring to us to an extent, right? You don't know exactly until you get them there. But now that you have them, it's like these guys fit us, and that's who we wanted to have here. So whether that be those guys, whether it be the freshmen, we talk about what our culture is. And it's like, you guys become us when you get here, right? We don't become you. And we didn't have to do anything. Like, those guys became us, and they fit right into what we wanted to do. And they've been, great additions.
You talked a lot about the freshmen in your press conference, so I don't want to repeat any of those questions. But one thing James Franklin talked about this year with football is how the freshman class really changed the complexion of his entire roster. Now that you see this group here, how have they changed the way that your roster is formed and the overall depth that you have as well, not just the individual talents that they are?
Yeah, I think the added depth, the ability to allow us to have more guys to go to, the ability to put a couple teams together. Like, I could put those 5 guys together in practice, and they can go out and compete against the older guys. And, technically they might not be there yet in terms of how sound they need to be on each end, but they can compete, and they love to go against them. So the competition level has gone way up. Like what they're doing, the pace of our practices, everything else. But they're also pushing them. Like, these guys are in the gym all the time. They're working. You see Big Meech back there getting some work in before practice. These guys are here before practice. They stay after practice. And it's kind of created that culture of, like, this is what we do. Like, if you don't stick around and work on your game, like, you stand out like a sore thumb around here.
As a coach, I know you're hungry to see the team in competition, but you also feel like there's not enough hours in the day with the guys to make sure you can get everything in. So what do you emphasize in the next 13 days between now and Winthrop?
I think we're right now talking about the small tweaks that we need to make to get us where we need to be. We're not going to be perfect in terms of how we play, but there's a couple key areas defensively that we need to clean up. There's a couple things offensively where we need to get better. And now, can we go in feeling good about it? And we're heading that way. Like, we had a test this Sunday against another team. We got another scrimmage coming up this Sunday. That allows us to put some mistakes on film or show them what we're doing well on film. And now learn from that, build up this week, have another one next week, and then start getting ready for Winthrop November 7th. So there's a couple areas where we have to sharpen up, where we got to be good, where we're clicking on all cylinders right out of the gates.
And the last thing, since we're sitting here in the Jordan Center, it'll be packed on November 7th. Can't emphasize enough how important the fans are to what you want to do here at home.
I go around and I love living here. I love this town. I love Penn Staters, no matter where they are, across this great state, across this country, that have reached out to me and told me about how excited they are about basketball. And, we've had an unbelievable fall at Penn State. And, I want to follow up what these teams are doing right now and starting it in that way. But the excitement of November the 7th, seeing this place full. These guys, they really deserve it in terms of what they've done and with their work, how they're working in the offseason, the schedule that we've put together. We have good opponents coming in here to play, but we need them. We need everybody in Nittany Nation to show up for us, and we're going to play as hard as we can. We're going to be as sound as we can. Hopefully we're a fun team to watch because we're flying up and down the court. We're shooting a bunch of threes and making a bunch of threes, and we're guarding people and playing with toughness. So they appreciate what we're doing when we're out here, and they want to come back and watch us even more.
Coach, thanks so much. Good luck this year.
Thank you.